back, everybody, to the Butterfly Effect podcast.
Yay!
It has been such a long time, but we are back.
We're back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. That should be the new intro.
Okay.
All right. Mike could get on it.
Yeah.
As if he doesn't have enough on his plate. Welcome back, everybody, to the Butterfly Effect podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Rivera. And you are?
I'm Liz. That's it.
And if you are new here, welcome to the craziness of this podcast. If you are old here, then
Happy birthday.
Hey. Hello. I am so excited. Let's catch up. How are you? All right.
Okay. So obviously we took a break, but it wasn't like an intentional break. It just kind of like we just fell off the face of the earth for a little bit. So I'm, doing a little better. Can't lie. The quarantine really messed me up. Mm-hmm. And just like all the chaos in the world, like it heavily affected me. So I just kind of, fell off. And now I'm going to therapy.
Okay. Therapy is good. Therapy is great.
Learning a lot about myself. Exciting.
Beautiful.
Doing better, but not great.
All right.
Your turn.
Right. Okay. Oh my God. This is rough.
Yup.
Just kidding. All right.
Do you need more time to think? Because I can keep talking.
No.
I'm a new woman now.
Also, I forgot to get myself some water.
Too bad.
Oh no.
Do you want to go get some water and I'll just talk to the people?
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I could share more a little bit. We definitely want to...
Oh no.
We definitely want to do like a whole episode on like therapy. I can't. We want to do a whole episode on therapy and like our experiences, because I'm going to tell you, Steph is also getting therapy. I highly encourage it if you've been thinking about it. It's definitely worth it, especially if you're with the right person and it's on your terms and you're ready for it. So highly recommend. But yeah, like this quarantine and just, all of the protests and everything, it just heavily affected me more than I thought it would, which is okay. And Steph is back, and that's good because I'm running out of things to say because I don't talk a lot. But I am learning a lot about myself, and these past like few months I've genuinely like really learned about who I am, how I work, what I like and what I don't like, and it's just been a really cool journey. I feel like I grew up in the like matter of like 3 or 4 months. So it's been good.
That's awesome.
You're back.
That's so cool. I'm back.
Your turn. How you doing? What you been up to, girl?
I'm doing good. I think the quarantine didn't affect me as much as most people. Mm-hmm. I think because I don't know. I don't
think you work off a schedule and like anything like that.
No, I'm very much like go with the flow kind of a person. Like if something happens, I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, whereas I'm highly affected if my schedule is like a little bit messed up.
Yeah, you're very routine based. Yeah, I'm not like that. So like for me, it was just like, okay, I'll figure it out. I definitely missed work because it got me out of the house and it got me doing something.
Gave you something to do.
Yeah, even though I was like, I was going to school, I'm still in school, and I was working from home. It just was different. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I was running up and down the stairs.
This is probably a good time to have just told you. Well, probably not a good time anymore, but I put water in the fridge, so you didn't have to. But I forgot to tell you until right now.
Oh, no. Yeah, so it didn't really affect me. There were events that happened that affected me, but which we'll get into because that's kind of like leads into our topic.
I guess, yeah.
But there were events that happened that affected me, but not the quarantine itself. It was just like a personal event that happened that led me into the place that I am in now.
Gotcha.
And like Liz says, she's seeking therapy. I'm also in therapy.
I told them.
Oh, you did?
I said, Steph, I'm going to tell them.
Oh, well, she told you.
Yep.
I'm in therapy, and I'm learning to rebuild my bike.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
But it's true though.
Yeah.
Like this was such a breakthrough in my life, like learning about this. And so I'm just learning to rebuild. And I don't want to say rebuild because I feel like our first podcast, we talked about rebuilding. Because I'm not, like, nothing around me is falling apart. I mean,
it's just yourself is like,
yeah. And it's not like in a sense of like, I hate who I am, so let's tear it down. It's just more so let's better me. And so I'm on this journey of like, not only knowing who I am, but bettering myself.
Love it.
I'm creating future Stephanie, if that makes sense.
Love it.
So there's a lot of, not even undoing, it's just a lot of learning. I'm learning, which is great. So, yeah. This topic is something that I think most of girls and even guys can relate to. And it has to do with singleness. And just like the pains of singleness and what we've kind of, just like our personal stories when it comes to like dating and talking to boys, Christian, not Christian.
Right.
And kind of the stigma and what the church should do when it comes to this, and what our experiences are with this. And this is such a vulnerable topic for me. I think Liz is more so excited to share about it than I am.
I have some tea. Like I'm so bothered.
Yeah, and I'm different where I'm like, I'm such a private person when it comes to dating and relationships that I'm like, I handle everything like on the low. But I think this is just something new for me, and I'm excited to share my experiences and things that have led me to the place that I am in now, because one of the events that happened had to do with a guy. So like, I am excited to kind of share it and be transparent and learn to kind of like share my story in that sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Singleness.
Hate it. Awful. Okay, but not only I feel like singleness is doable.
It is.
You know what's not doable? Dating. The dating world is a world that, now I'm going to be 23 like next month. Like I'm in the dating world because I want to be in a relationship. So you have to kind of be a part of that like world.
Right.
And
yeah, it's
not a good place to be.
Well, expound on it.
Wow. What a word.
She's smart.
Okay, well, I guess we could each share our own personal experiences because we're both very different, like you said. So
yeah, but before we get into it, like, I just kind of want to preface that singleness is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Like if you're called into singleness, beautiful. And even if you're single right now and you're not called into singleness, there's something about being single.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like being like singleness isn't the bad thing.
It isn't.
If anything, that's like a good place to be because you learn a lot about yourself.
Right. And also like there's a lot of positives with singleness, which what married people tell single people is all these positives. And I remember talking to your mom the other day, and like we were talking about singleness, and I said to her, I wish that like we can hear from single people on singleness, because what we do is we hear from married people on singleness, which is great. No, it's great. And like it's needed, but I think that there needs to be both sides where it's like the married couple speaking into singleness and the single people talking about singleness. So I think that's why I was like, okay, let's do this podcast, because I think it's important for Christian women to speak on singleness, because there is something that Christian women feel that they're single, that they either feel shamed for feeling, or there's a struggle that we go through that not most people are aware of. So I kind of want to shed that light.
I love that.
So take it away.
I think what is hard for me.
Why did I say take it away?
I don't know, but I'll take it away. I think what's been hard for me through this whole experience is I don't really know exactly where to start. I guess we could just start with the whole dating world and how people, I'm going to speak from a Christian perspective because that's my perspective, is like almost the dating world is not a good place to be, or like you just have to sit and wait for your man to come. And like I think for some people that is a that works. But I also think there's nothing wrong with going and talking to other people, not getting in relationships with. There's a big difference. Like there's a difference between dating and being in a relationship, which is where I think people kind of get a little confused. Like dating is like talking to someone and seeing where it happens like naturally, whereas being in a relationship is like, okay, I'm gonna commit myself to this person, like we're together, like we're gonna plan a future together. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about dating. So just talking to people. And I feel like that's a topic that's not really discussed, like you were saying. Like it's not really discussed nowadays. It's almost just like, well, like you'll just find him in church, or like that's it. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's a great, do I want that? Yes. Because is that easier? Yes. But it's not the only avenue that I have to take. Like it's not my only option.
Sure.
So for a while, like I thought that, like you said, that like some people who are single feel this shame for feeling certain things. And I was like, I just want to see what's out there. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with seeing what's out there. Yeah. Obviously keeping your morals and keeping your standards is really important, which is what I do. So, but my just experience, like it's just tough. Right. Like it's I don't really know how to expand other than like it's tough.
I kind of want to touch on what you were saying, like the dating versus relationship, because that's something that me and you talked about. Like when we talk about guys, I'm like, it's so hard for me to disconnect because I was raised in this mindset that if you're talking to this human and you're going on a date with him, then you want to be in a relationship with him and you should be courting for marriage. And
I wasn't raised like in my family to think that way, but in the church I was raised that way.
But like even like, because my family members are super involved in the church, so, and they were the ones that grabbed a hold of me, which is great. I really appreciate that. But it caused me to have there's been such a pressure on me. And like, I'll share my story on like my perspective and the pressures that I face. But like, one of the things is like that line is skewed. It's like, no, you don't date to date, you date for marriage. And like, that sounds good. That sounds like a really great thing to teach people. But the issue is that we have people who desire to be married who don't know how to date someone or get to know someone.
Right.
And it becomes this toxic habit of like, I can't date you because I don't know if we're going to get married. I can't date you because what ministry are you called into? I can't date you because what's your future? And it becomes this like this.
It's not natural anymore. It's not all natural. Planned.
Yeah. And it becomes the sense, which is great. That works for people. That works for some people. So if you take that avenue, congratulations. That's awesome. But what happens is that we teach that needs to be the only way. And like, whereas if I'm speaking from as a Christian woman, and even as a pastor, I don't tell people that the only way, and I remember I was telling this to single women, we were like chilling and I said this and their head spun, where I'm like, I don't believe that there's just one person out there for you.
Yep.
Like, I don't believe in that. I believe that if you find someone that you guys both love the Lord, you're pursuing the Lord, and even if you're called into ministry and he's not, that's okay. Right. I remember that's a taboo thinking, because it's like, no, you both need to be called into ministry because you both are like, no, actually, I've spoken to a lot of pastors who are called into the ministry and their wives or their husbands are not. And it works. And it's because it's a God ordained thing. Right. And so I think that line is skewed for me specifically. And so if you're out there and that line was skewed, that it's so hard to break away from that mindset because you're taught like, if I'm talking to you, then I have to marry you. Yeah. Instead of like, I'm talking to you to get to know you, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
It's almost like because I had to undo this habit, because when I first started like talking to people, I thought like this, but you almost like create a future with somebody that you don't know at all. And then when like you realize it doesn't work out, you're almost more heartbroken because you've already created this like whole worlds with this person that's not even real.
Yeah, one of the issues that I've had, and this is something that I talked through my therapist with, is marrying someone before we're even married. And like I found that to be one of the biggest downfalls, because I find myself suffering as if I'm divorcing the person.
Right.
And I create emotional soul ties with this individual, which is a very real thing, because I'm giving him parts of myself that only my husband deserves. But we're playing like husband and wife because we're married to each other in this weird emotional way.
Right.
And so when it doesn't work, it's like it becomes this detrimental, traumatic event. Whereas in normal human life, you can be a Christian, it not work out, and you move forward with your life.
Right.
But that's not necessarily taught. And so what happens is, if you have a bunch of traumatized single people that are A, afraid to date again, or B, keep themselves in this cycle of marrying themselves emotionally to these people and mentally to these people, and giving them parts of themselves that they have no business having. And so you have these soul ties with 900 different people, when in reality, that person was just meant to teach you something, or that person was meant to help you talk to a guy, or it just didn't work, because that happens. It just didn't work. But because we're not taught that, or if you were taught in the mindset that we were taught in by the church, that is such, dating is very traumatic. It can be traumatic, whereas it being a normal event.
Yeah, like it's a natural thing.
It's natural.
It shouldn't be this whole like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm learning it for myself, and I'm basically teaching myself like as I go. So it's, you know, a lot of trial and error, and like you learn a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's not supposed to be this like shameful experience. It's supposed to be this fun, like if you're ready. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a time. Like, I think that if you're not ready for it, it's not healthy for you to do this. But if you're ready for it, and like you're mature enough for a relationship, that there is nothing wrong with talking to people.
Yeah. I also think that, like, to talk on the getting ready, like if you're ready for it, like singleness is supposed to be a place where you are fruitful in and of yourself, and you're learning yourself, and not that you're whole, because that's the other lie that the church teaches, is like you have to be completely perfect, put together in order for you to meet your husband. That's not true.
That's bullcrap.
That's not true. Because marriage and relationships are supposed to mirror the relationship between you and Christ. And so for me to say that I need to be whole when I'm in a relationship with a man that's potentially to be my husband means that I need to be perfect before I'm in relationship with Jesus.
Yeah. And I thought for a while, like, because I wasn't in a relationship, I'm like, oh no, like God thinks that there's something like that's not good about me that I need to get rid of, when in reality you just weren't ready yet.
You weren't ready, and the timing the timing wasn't there, and the circumstances weren't there. I remember we had this conversation before where I'm like, let's actually think about this in a realistic place. Quarantine happened, right? There's all these things that kind of work against the wrong environment. There could be a wrong environment where you're not going to meet someone. It could be a timing thing. It could be you just genuinely, it's just not happening right now. And if that's the case, like, it's this sense of coming to yourself and being like, okay, right now it's not happening, and that's okay. But eventually it will happen. And like, that's the hope, is that if you're single right now and you're sitting here and you're like, well, God isn't bringing me my husband. Like this, it's this really taboo thing where it's like, God isn't doing it. And it's like, okay, let's look at this again from a realistic perspective. Like, is God telling you to not go out? You get what I'm saying? Like, let's be realistic. Are you plugging yourself in to a church where you could potentially meet someone? And not that you plug into church to potentially meet someone, but you get what I'm saying? Like, are you doing what you can do?
Like, baby, he's not gonna fall out from the sky. He's just not.
His listen to me. If his behind manifests in your bedroom and you're
girl, it's a no.
Girl, and you're okay with that, maybe we should talk.
Let's talk about it.
Girl, let's say some dude just manifests in my bedroom. Do you really think that I'm gonna be like, oh my God, God did it? No, my behind is gonna be like, first off, why are you in my room? Second off, how did you get here? And third off, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you get what I mean? Like in realistic events, like we have to take the steps that we have to take in order for us to meet someone. And I think the pressure of like, I have to meet, I have to, becomes this like, again, like this toxic cycle in Christian women. Cause I don't know about Christian men, which I would love.
Oh, I can't wait to read them because you know what? I'm sick and tired of it. I can't wait till we get there because I have some stuff to say to you.
Stories. We got some stories.
I got some stuff to say to you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All the guys just left.
Yeah. It's like all girls. But yeah, I would like to hear the Christian guy's perspective on what it means to date. Because
Stupid.
I
love it.
No, but seriously, because I don't know. I can only speak from a woman's perspective. And what I can say from a woman's perspective is that like, breathe. It's going to happen for you. If this is a desire of your heart, like it'll happen, and it'll happen in the way that will glorify God, right? It'll happen in a way that'll make you happy, because I think the other lie is that like you're going to marry someone that you're just going to have to settle and you're not happy with.
That's how I feel right now. Right. Only because it's like, all right, mess after mess after mess. But I know, like, you know, I'll find him somewhere. And
it's easy to think that way when there's disappointment, because I'll tell you this, and this is something that most people don't talk about, is disappointment in the dating scene is real.
Oh, sweetie, it's real.
It's a real feeling, and it's okay. We girls, we've all been there. Boys, men, we've been there. Disappointment is a real behind thing. And that is where we will tell our stories. Oh my God.
Oh, okay, are you going? Are you going to
No, you can go.
I have...
disappointment, girl. Share them.
Okay, so...
Do you want me to go?
No, I'm trying to think like... Because I don't... Okay, well, I guess... My disappointment that I'm noticing is a lot of these guys, I don't want to call them men because they're not, these guys that I've talked to, because like they weren't like men, they say that they're Christian, right?
Preach it.
And
preach it loud.
I'm so pissed. They'll say that they're Christian, they'll talk the talk, they'll walk the walk, all of it. And then when it comes to like certain things, like let's just say like sex, it's like, oh, all of a sudden I'm not a Christian.
Girl.
Like all of a sudden, like that's not like that's I'm going to do that.
Let's
like that's
talk
what I want to do.
About it. Let's talk about
it.
And
I think also not just sex. I'm just talking about like in general when it comes to just like living a life that is like glorifying to God and just being a good person is like literally like not a thing.
Right.
It's so disappointing and so sad to see, because nowadays, just because like I used to think in the past, oh, I just need to find a Christian guy and I'm good. Oh no. No. There's a whole thing to this now, because it's not, oh, I need to find a Christian guy and I'm good. It's oh, I need to find a Christian guy who's a real Christian guy who believes in the real things of God, because then you get into the situation where, you know, doctrine and like we don't believe theology. And just for me personally, like this is how I am, is that I don't really do well with people who don't believe in like the Holy Spirit or the spiritual gifts. Like I want to find somebody who believes in that with me, because I want to raise a family and I want us to be, you know, living our lives on the same foundation. So that's really important to me. So like it's hard to find a Christian who's like a normal Christian.
Right. I think that's it. Is like the normal Christian.
Normal guys, like just a normal human. Yeah. Because you have two opposites of the spectrum. You have the Christian who's like a psychopath.
Yeah, like overly spiritual.
Overly spiritual, like I levitate, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you have the Christian who's not a Christian and sleeps with every girl and like just doesn't care about anything, says they go to church on Sunday, but do they really? You know what I mean? Like, and you can't really find the medium. Right. You really can't. And I think that's the part that's really disappointing. Because there's apps now that are for Christian people, and those apps suck.
Yeah.
Don't go on them.
Yeah.
They're awful.
Misleading.
I mean, can I tell you something real quick?
Go ahead.
The Christian guys are worse than the secular guys.
Sure.
Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. And I'm going to attest to that because I have talked to Christian guys and the first thing that they say to me, like, they don't even like,
they don't even get your name, bro.
Yo, find out my favorite color,
When's
dog.
your birthday? Like,
find out my favorite color, dog.
Yeah.
He don't even know my last name.
Yup.
And the conversation, all of a sudden, it's like, how you doing? I'm doing good. By the way, I'm not waiting till marriage to have sex. And I'm like, okay, I just asked you how your dog was. Like, how did we get here?
Yeah. Also, right? I think another thing that I've learned, and this is me personally, again, is that I, like at my age, I understand like everybody has different walks of life. Some people weren't saved when some people weren't growing up with the same morals as me, or some people just, messed up, and some people aren't like a virgin anymore. And to be honest, that's okay with me because of my age. So I don't really think that it's fair if your morals are like how I am. Like, it's okay for me if maybe you aren't a virgin. Are you on that stance?
Yeah, so you're saying that if you didn't wait till marriage, you
I'm
not
gonna X somebody out because of their past it. Like, that's not fair.
I agree with you. That's okay with me, and that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is
no, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's okay if they have done that, but it's not okay for them to just bring it up and just be like, "We're gonna have sex,"
right? Or be like, "If we went on a date, I'm gonna push it there."
Why? Can I tell you something real quick? We're so heated. I don't even care. I need to talk about this.
Go.
I have guys that are not secular that I've talked.
Sorry.
I have spoken with guys who are not saved, and they have respected the fact, one, that I'm a Christian, and two, that I don't have premarital sex or any of that.
Right.
If anything, you never know until you're in a relationship, but I'm not dating these people. I've just talked to them in the past, but they've been more respectful of that decision than a Christian man when I tell him that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, and it's a damn shame.
That's so disturbing.
And I'll tell you this. For me personally, these people aren't just like, oh, I go to church. These men are in full-blown ministry.
Bro.
They're planting churches.
In ministry.
Here's the scary part, and this is what breaks my heart. One, for the church, because the Bible talks about how in these days it has to go there. It has to go there. How in these days that what was wrong will be right, and what is right is wrong. And I have such a hard time because in my brain, in Stephanie's brain, I look at it and I go, okay, if you are in full-blown ministry, I mean, you are straight up being paid by the church. You are on staff at the church.
Your picture is on the website and in the bulletin.
Dog, you planting churches. You Paul the Apostle, my man. You are straight up on mission.
You're on the worship team. You're the worship leader.
Dog, you are straight up Paul the Apostle. And you want to tell me that on the low.
Oh, right.
On the low. You're sleeping around and you're doing all this stuff and you don't have a problem with it. I question, one, the pastor that's over you. Two, I question the church that you're involved with, which stinks, but it's true.
It's true, yeah.
And three, I question whether or not you have a valid relationship with Jesus. I'm not talking about I'm struggling and I have accountability.
Right, that's different.
That's different.
I'm so about that.
I'm so about it. I'm so about someone being like, I'm struggling, but my pastor knows. Yeah. My pastor knows and I have accountability and I'm working on it. I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it.
Right.
That's humility. That's a different kind of person. But if you're straight up I don't care and this is the lifestyle and this is what I've encountered.
Yep.
And for me, I'm it bothers me because I'm and then when you call them out because I'm the type of person.
I'm sick and tired. I am not a confrontational person, but I have no problem anymore confronting a stupid guy.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it.
And I've never had a problem with it. But and I'm so confrontational. I'm listen, I don't think that this is okay. And then I'm the
then
one
you're
that's
being called names.
I'm being
and
called names. I'm all these things. This is why you're still single. I'm no, baby boy.
This is why you're still single.
No, and I'm I'm not still single because I have high standards. I'm still single because I can't find someone that is A, normal, and B, respectful and has integrity and actually lives out what they claim to believe. That's why I'm still single. I'm not still single because I have high standards. I'm telling you right now, my standards are normal standards for any Christian girl, or should be normal standards.
It's like literally practical. It's like ABCs at this point. Like I have shaved down, not standards or morals, but I've shaved a few things off my list because I'm like, girl, it's slim pickings here. You ain't gonna find all that. I'm sorry, but you're not gonna find that, sweetie. You can barely even find a good Christian. Right. It's really sad because it's like literally wolves in sheep clothing.
It is, and it's really like
it's so deceiving.
Like I was talking to one of my coworkers, and she was saying they're like snake in the grass, where it's like you don't. Like they have a very smooth tongue and they're good talkers, at least in my experience. And like
I don't really find those always go for you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But then like they're snakes.
Yeah.
And so like
awful.
And like I think what's hard for me is that and I'm just gonna be honest, is that I love smooth talkers. So like you can like it's part of my love language. Like words of affirmation, like it's just part of my love language, and I'm learning that that's okay.
But
beautiful. What happens is I always find the dude that can see that in me and like
knows exactly
what to say and how to say it, and
in
like,
a
manipulative way. And like I found let me tell y'all some stories, dude.
Oh, come on.
Let me tell you some stories. Talking to this dude, straight up, we're matching theology wise.
We love it.
And like all of a sudden he ghosts me. He blocks me.
And I was so upset that I messaged him myself and I said, this is not okay.
And then I come to find out is that he's a weirdo McWeirdo.
Weird.
And I'm like, what the heck? Like, it wasn't like we were talking about Jesus. Like, it wasn't like I said something that was offensive. Like, we were on the same page, and all of a sudden, ghosted.
What is that?
And I'm like, what in the land of the free is going on here? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, and that's just like one of many stories. Or like I was talking to this other dude, and I don't maybe it's the culture, but I don't understand, why do some Christian men, why are you so aggressive with what you believe?
Yeah, chill.
Like, why are you like, if you don't believe what I believe, like, or like what the one of the guys said to me is like, if like this is the first time we're talking.
Are we okay?
This is the first time we ever talked. And like he goes to me, he's like, if we get married, you're gonna have to come to my church. I'm like, first off, again, you didn't even take me on a date. Yeah. Or like what makes you think that I'm already married to you? Right. Like what makes this is
we'll talk about that down the line. Like, can we just share each other's favorite food?
Yeah, like get to know me first before you're like, and then goes on to say you can't get any more tattoos, you can't dress this way, you can't just. I said,
that's 50 red flags.
I said, let's talk about this real quick. One, I don't belong to you. Two,
right. You don't.
Two, boy, you got the wrong one.
You don't owe him anything.
I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you anything. And so like this is the issue that I'm finding is like these guys are either way too like, this is it and that's it, like you have to do this, you have to do that, instead of just being normal. Like, can you be normal? Like, can you just talk to me like I'm a human being? Or one of the biggest things that I find out, which is why I don't tell people I'm in ministry or that I've done these things in ministry until later on. And like, because what I find happens is that they either try to one up me, which is so annoying. Like, your pee-pee must be that small that you feel the need to one up me in ministry. Like, let's call it for what it is.
Should we talk about what happened to me?
Yes. Because we've created a term for it.
It's called being what? I'm not gonna say it. I can't say it because it'll out his name, and I just don't want to say his name because I'm too nice.
All right.
Somehow I'm still too nice.
Yeah, but wait, it's either they're trying to one up or they're trying to like or show off, which is we're gonna jump into your story because that's kind of what happened to you, or definitely what happened.
Or just
to
lied.
You. Or they try to use me to somehow like advance their ministry. And I've found that so many times where like at the end of it, I'm like, I don't feel, because best believe I pray and I'm like, Lord, is this, again, I don't know why I do this. Maybe it's just a practice that was like taught to me, but I'm like, okay, Lord, like I'm really feeling this dude. I really want to see where this goes, but Lord, like, is this something that you have for me? And so the Lord will either be like, no, Steph. And so I'll go to that person. And honestly, I don't ghost people. I will let you know what's up. And so I go to them and I'm like, listen, this is what I feel from Jesus, because we're Christians, right? We're Christians.
I think we are, yeah.
And so I go, this is what I feel from Jesus, and I just don't think it's going to work. And you would think that the normal response would be like, all right, like, it's okay. Like, I wish you the best. Instead, it's like, no, like, I was just using you anyway. I never had intentions of being blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're a jerk.
Wow, yeah.
You're a jerk. I know. You're a jerk. I know. You're a jerk. And like, and that's the issue that I found is like, it's so hard. It's so hard. So normally what I honestly do is I don't tell anybody about me, like my accomplishments, or which is so freaking sad.
Yeah, that you have to like diminish yourself.
myself.
Ew.
And I can't be proud of myself and be like,
you can't just be a woman.
Or actually this kind of a person that you feel the need to make me feel bad for myself, that I feel shame of telling you what I've accomplished. Like, no, sir. Or you're trying to one up me and be like, well, I've done this and I've done, and I'm like, you asked me what I've done and I'm just sharing with you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just sharing it with you. Why do you feel this need to prove yourself to me, or feel this need to try to flex? Like, yo, chill out. Like, calm down, my man. I'm not comparing myself to you. But many guys who are not secure and not confident will feel this need to compare. And it is so annoying.
I also think it has to do with like the culture and like how people are getting success younger. Well, at least that's what we see, which what we see is the minority. Like, that's not everybody's life. Like, I'm sorry, but there's literally like, it's impossible to be another Kylie Jenner. Like, that's just not possible.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not normal. Right. And I feel like people see like all these celebrities who are younger, like our age, and like expect like, if I'm not like hitting that mark, then I'm not being successful, which is why probably a lot of these guys feel this need to like say, well, I've done this and I've done that, and I've done like building a resume. It's like, you didn't ask for the resume. This isn't a job interview. Like, I don't know what you do.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So what happened with me is, so I was talking to somebody, and we didn't really, again, like, great theology. He says he believed everything in the Bible, like, for what it said, like Holy Spirit, the gifts, all of that. And so we were talking for a little bit. I was like, okay, like, I felt comfortable enough to like go on a date with this person, because I was like, okay, we have the same morals. Right. And so far there's literally no red flags. This was like a few months ago, like in the beginning, before I realized how messed up this world is, but we'll get to that. So I had found out from another friend, because they knew him, that he was literally lying about everything that he was saying. He wasn't really Christian. He did drugs and like slept with a bunch of people, like the time that he was talking with me. Like, it was like there was evidence of it. And like he said to me that he was on like the ministry team and he was on staff at his church, when in reality he was just a member there. Like, he didn't do anything like that. And I didn't find out, but the person told me, because they knew him and they knew the pastor, and the pastor was like, no, he doesn't do any of this. And you know, us girls, we figure, if you're a guy listening, if you are lying, in 2.5 seconds, we will figure out the truth. We will, yeah. I don't care what it is you're lying about. Yeah, it's like
something, like a mantle comes and we're all of a sudden detectives.
We're like, oh my God, I was born for this moment.
Yeah, we've become literal detectives.
Like,
and we're
okay, let me put it through the system.
Yeah, we've been reading through lives. We're like,
let me contact so-and-so.
Yeah, we've been contacting people across state lines, so don't even play.
Yeah. No.
We got friends in state lines.
We know exactly what to do. We know the procedures to take.
Yes.
Anyway, so like, yeah, so we should start a firm.
Oh my gosh.
I love that. Like that TikToker who finds out like what the boyfriend is doing. Anyway, so I found that out, and I was like, I wasn't heartbroken, but I was like, this was like my first experience finding out that like a Christian guys lie. Yeah. And so it was like really, like, it really affected me, like the disappointment. Like, it was really, like, I was really upset. I was like, I think I was upset. No, I don't think, I know I was upset, because I'm like, I worked so hard on myself. Mm-hmm. For these past years of being single, I have buckled down and I have worked so hard on myself every single day to be a better version of myself, for me and also for the person that I'm gonna be with. And the audacity, not that this person owes me anything, except the only thing they owe me is the truth
and respect,
obviously, but he was respectful, but
that's
only
not
to me
respectful.
he was good at pretending to be respectful. We'll just say that.
He was a liar. How was that respectful?
No, I mean, like, in our conversation, he wasn't like being like disgusting.
I know, but he still wasn't respectful.
I'm not talking about
RESPCT.
Okay, but
find out
I
what
think
it means.
we're thinking of two different kinds of respects. Anyway, so like I think for me that was like really hard because I was like, I don't deserve this. Like, this is stupid.
Sure.
Like, why can't you just be a normal person and just like, I'm fine with you being honest about who you are. Just be honest.
Right.
I think that's the thing is like, if you are in the dating world and you're single and you're like talking to people, the best thing you can do for yourself and the person you're talking to is just be honest and be yourself.
Right.
Like, it sounds annoying and stupid because everyone's like, be yourself. But it's like, no, just be truthfully who you are. And that's how you'll know if you and that person will work out right. Because if you're creating a fake version of yourself for this person, then you're going to, if you end up dating that person, then you're going to have to keep up with that facade.
It'll come out eventually.
Yeah, or it'll come out eventually. And then guess what? That person's not going to like you anymore.
Right.
So just be yourself. But also if you're pretending to be someone you're not, then sweetie, you're not ready for a relationship.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, that's what I'm finding is like, all these guys are just pretending to be this version of a man that they think is like what a man should be. And it's like, no, a man should just be someone who's respectful, who can lead me. And that's it.
Yeah. And I think also men, if a girl says like, listen, this just isn't going to work. I don't vibe with you, or I don't even see myself with you, or I don't want to further it. Please stop getting butt hurt.
Don't get offended. That's annoying.
Like you should be able to understand that a woman is allowed to say no, thank you.
And
I don't want to.
If anything, you should be thankful that she's saying that because she won't be wasting your time.
Right. And I also think this is that the other taboo thing with Christian dating is that we have to like just pick a Christian guy.
Right.
Because here's the issue is that like, and I've talked to so many married people that are just like, well, he's a Christian. Yeah, but we don't.
He's ugly. He's ugly. I don't like him. He's not cute.
Or like, oh no. Or like we just don't connect. Yeah, maybe he's ugly. Maybe he has an ugly personality. Maybe he ain't working. Maybe it's just not my type. That's okay. And what happens is that guys feel this entitlement, which not all guys. I don't want to say all guys because again, I don't know, but most guys that I've encountered feel this sense of entitlement that's like, well, like I'm a Christian and like how could you say no? And it's like, well, what if I just don't connect with you?
What if we don't vibe?
What if we don't mesh? What if it's just it just doesn't work? That's okay. Stop
trust yourself.
Just trust it and just like, and women are, and here's the thing is that I've also noticed is that I've come in contact with a lot of Christian girls who are like, I just married him because everyone just forced me to it because he was a nice Christian man and I did not even want to be with him, but I was forced into it because of that. And their marriage is in shambles because she realized, oh my goodness, I do not want to be with this person, but I've already said I do and I can't walk away.
Right.
And so like marriage is a big deal.
Yeah.
And yes, if you want to be married, great. But that's a really big commitment and make sure you're making it with someone that like, you know, for sure that you want to spend the rest of your life with in good and in bad, because here's the thing, life does happen and things will get messy and it will get bad and it will be good, but there will also be bad. And can you see yourself loving that person when he's pouty or when he doesn't love you? Because that's a real thing.
Yeah. And I also think like, the thing that's, you know, uncertain and hard about this is that, you know, you can't just like fall in love with someone without going on a date with them or meeting them first, and which is something that I've learned through this experience is a lot of people end up just like, again, creating like this fake reality or this relationship with this person before they've even met them. And I think like, and I've found myself doing the same thing. Like, I'm not dating you, but like, we act like it. So like, what is this? And I've never even met you before. Like, this is weird. And I think like it's dangerous to do that because you end up falling for someone that you don't know and then you get hurt even more. But like, you have to learn also that you're not gonna fall in love with someone in the matter of like one date.
It takes
or
time.
2 dates. Like, that's the thing that's like a little unsettling about relationships and why you genuinely have to be prayerful about who you end up being in an actual relationship with, is because you don't necessarily fall in love with someone on the first date or the second date or even the third date.
Right.
You fall into like, and I think that people get that a little twisted. Like, it's almost like they fall into an infatuation with people but think that that's love, and
Right.
it's not.
Right.
And they seem similar, but the difference is that infatuation fades and love doesn't. And the only way for love to not fade and to know that you're genuinely in love with someone is to go through the highs and the lows. So that's the part of like dating. I'm not dating, like relationships that's uncertain. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I agree. Yeah.
because you genuinely don't know until you're put in the fire, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think like, it's not supposed to be perfect. It's going to be messy, and that's okay. I think part of the thing is that for me personally, like if you've come from a very dysfunctional background where your parents are dysfunctional, or you've seen a lot of dysfunctional marriages, you try so hard to not be that. And so you expect your mate to be this perfect person. And that's one of the things that I've really had to face in being single, is like, I don't want to be dysfunctional so bad that I expect a dysfunctional person to act functional, or I put a pressure on something, on us just talking or us just dating or us just, because of that line being so skewed, that like I've put pressure on certain relationships or certain things because of, I don't want to be dysfunctional. And so I'm going to make sure that I don't do anything that'll potentially end us in a place that's not messy. When in reality, life gets messy, things get messy, and that's normal.
You can't prevent that.
You can't prevent that. But like if you've come from a traumatic background, you'll understand what I'm saying, because you try so hard, because it's on you. If you're level-headed, if you're the one that's level-headed in your family, it's on you to create a new family bloodline and to not repeat the mistakes of your parents or the people that raised you or the people that came before you. And so you have this sense of pressure to be what they weren't. And so in any relationship you get into, you walk into it with that in the back of your mind, and it's this pressure on you to make sure that whoever you're talking to isn't dysfunctional, and it's great, and he's this and he's that, and he meets all these things, and emotionally he's this way, and he's this and he's this and he's this, when in reality it's just like, I want to know you for you. That thing is not there, because you have all these pressures in the back of your mind. Are we going to get married? Does he have the right theology? Are we a Christian? Are we going to lead our family? How are you going to be a husband? How are you going to da-da-da-da? And I found myself literally putting that pressure. It's like, whoa, like Steph, like, let me take you on a date, or let's just get to know each other. So what happens is we create this environment of marriage, literally like, okay, like lead me now. And so now because he's taking on this role of a husband, he's expecting certain things from you that only a husband deserves. And you're trying to do that without being a wife. And it's just like, it creates this sense of dysfunction in and of itself when you're trying so hard to not be dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And so my advice is, if you have that pressure of like, I don't want to be like my parents, I don't want to be like the people that came before me, I want a functional marriage, or like one of the fears that I've had is that everyone around me, their marriages was failing. Like everyone around me. And like every person I talk to, they're like, I don't love my husband, or I don't love my wife, and I don't want to be with them, and da 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 da. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be like that. Yeah. Even like people my age, or like, I don't want to be with my husband anymore, and I don't want to, and I was like, oh no, like I want to make sure I marry the right one, because I don't ever want to feel that feeling of I don't want to be with this person. Because if you know me, if I don't want to be with you, I'm not going to be with you. And so I'm like, I need to make sure. And so it again adds like another sense of pressure into talking to a person, when again, like that pressure is normal a year into the relationship, right? When we're talking about engagement, like that conversation should be happening going into a year in the relationship, whereas you're in the dating stages, or you don't even know if you want to be talking stages, or you don't even know if you want to be in a relationship because you haven't even gone on a first date. Like, and so it's like, again, like the lines are skewed, because you're like, I'm dating you because we're going to get married and you're the one, as opposed to I'm dating you, but I'm also talking to other people. And if this doesn't work out, that's okay.
Yeah. I think like the mentality of like what you were just sharing, how we kind of like marry the person, is because we live in such a fast-paced world nowadays, where like everything, like whatever you want, you can get it with the drop of a hat. Or like like you can just scroll through Instagram, or like you can swipe left or swipe right on what you want, what you don't want. And I think that genuinely was created by this culture. Like it's a very unhealthy way. Like I think also from the church, but I also just think culture in general has kind of created that atmosphere of like, well, I can create the most perfect person, and if you don't match that, then next.
Sure.
And it's like, that's really unhealthy as well, because now we don't want to see people's weaknesses or see people as just being a human being.
That's right. Yeah.
So like I just think like it's just an unhealthy way of like viewing things. Like we think, oh, if they have a weakness, or if they have an insecurity, or maybe they're not good at this, and or maybe they're not good, then they're not good for me, or they're not perfect, and like I've waited this long, so I'll only do perfect, and like that's not healthy.
And here's the thing, because we were talking about all these guys who had all these issues that weren't perfect, but the difference between them and a person and a person that we're talking about, like if you're not perfect, it's okay, is that if you're genuinely like, I'm working on myself. Yeah. Like if you're like, yeah, I got blah, 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 blah as a struggle, right? But you're like, but you know what? I know that the Lord frees. And you know what? I have pastors and mentors. I'm accountable to people. I'm working on myself. I'm not perfect, but I'm growing in and of myself. If you are committed to you, like if you are a guy and you're not perfect and you're committed to yourself, that is the best thing that we can ask for, right? Because like, again, we don't want a perfect guy because we're not perfect. We're emotional. We are a hot mess half of the time when our hormones are crazy, and like if you have hormonal issues going on, and like there's a lot going on for a woman has a lot of things that she goes through in her body and in her mind and emotions and spiritually and this and that, and all these things are happening. So we're not perfect people either. So like if a guy isn't expecting us to be perfect, why would we expect him to be perfect? But what we are saying is that even for you women, like you cannot be like, well, you got to be this way and you got to be this way. Like you need to be committed to you before you could be committed to him, and he needs to be committed to him before he could be committed to you.
Right. Like for example, like in the beginning stages, because that's all we're talking about right now is the dating aspect, is he doesn't owe you anything.
You don't belong to him, and he does not belong to you. Women, he does not belong to you.
And you don't belong to him, so stop acting like you do.
Stop acting like you do.
Like stop giving him parts of you, or sharing certain things, like being incredibly there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable, but I think that there should be like a line or a limitation when it does come to vulnerability. When you're first talking to someone, like it's hard for me because I literally wear my heart on my sleeve. Like I can go to a stranger and tell them all my life struggles, like no problem. Like so I have to learn like that boundary, that because it's a healthy boundary of, okay, like I'm not going to share, not that I want to hide things, but I just don't want to give you all of me yet. Like take it day by day. Don't rush the process. Like let's say you are talking to someone that you can see yourself like potentially going on a date with, or like being in a relationship with, like don't rush the process. I think that's another thing, is like, okay, like now I'm in a relationship, okay, now we gotta get engaged, okay, now we gotta get married. It's like, no, like it wasn't really, it's supposed to be this beautiful process, you know what I mean?
Let it bloom.
Let it bloom, sweetie.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've always, and this is something that I will always hold, is I want to respect space and time. Because in ministry, if you're in ministry, one of the hard things is that if you like someone, it's like, again, you become married to the person. And like that's something that I experienced, whereas like me and this guy, we were dating, and it was literally like we were husband and wife. We were doing ministry together. We were doing everything together, which is fine. Like that's okay thing, but there was no boundary. There was no line of like, we're just in a relationship. Like we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And so like, what I learned was that like in ministry, it's so hard because it's the sense of like, okay, now like we got to rush it. And like what I learned is like going forward, I want to respect space. If you don't want to hang out with me today, I respect your space. If I don't want to hang out with you today, respect my space. Like I don't have to talk to you 24/7 all the time. And like I want to respect time. Like let time do its thing. And like we don't. Again, it's a cultural thing. Like our culture is very microwave culture. Like I want it now. I see it. I want it. I have it. I got it. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. Ariana Grande.
I see it. I like it. I want it.
I got it. And it's like, and it's literally the anthem of our culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to get. That seat, I want it. That's mine. And it's like, no, like that doesn't belong to you.
You're nobody's and he's not yours either.
Yeah. And I think that if he's a mature man, like,
hard, still have not found one, but
right. But I think that
one.
if he is mature, and if he is plugged into the Father's heart, he will understand that, and he will respect and honor that. And like, again, like I haven't found it, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But like,
I know it's out there. I just know it's the minority of
it. Is a minority thing. Yeah. But like, I think like there's we said a lot, but I think one of the things
just went off.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's so important because
felt so nice.
because there's not a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, no, like I'm really like, to be honest, when it comes to being a Christian, there is a certain standard, like, and I don't mean in an unhealthy standard. I mean like there's just things that like certain like morals and stuff like that, like you have to keep. And like it's so sad to me, like it really hurts my heart.
It does,
that I see like that some of these girls, or that I know that majority of these women are actually like lowering their standards and like getting rid of certain morals just to be with somebody.
Yeah.
Like just to have someone quote unquote love them back. Like that's not love.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
No, it's not. And I think that if you guys come to an understanding where he's like, okay, that's not my standard, but I would like that to be my standard and I will work on that being my standard. Again, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And like vice versa, if he's like, this is my standard, and she's like, hold on, like let me work on that. Like I want that to be my standard. Like there's grace there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, like perfection is perfection. I feel that part of my calling is to kill off perfection, because it's something that I've struggled with, and a lot of my friends have actually struggled with that. And like this sense of just like perfection, it has to be perfect. And what it does is it kills and it steals and it destroys.
Yeah, it robs you of your life.
It robs you of your life. It robs you of relationships. It robs you of experiences. It robs you, and it puts this pressure that like should not be there.
Yeah, I completely agree. But like I know like, and I know we were kind of like bashing the dating, like we were just kind of sharing like what upsets us the most, like what we want to see change in like the dating world.
Yeah.
But like it's not,
we're still talking.
Yeah,
like we're still there.
Yeah, like I've met like very nice people and it just like hasn't worked out, and that's okay. And like we keep moving, and they were respectful. Like not every single one of these guys who were Christian were not respectful. Like, but the majority of them were like really bad.
Right.
But like, yeah, like there's definitely like good guys out there, and we'll see one day.
We will, yeah. And I'm hopeful, like, which is weird because I'm such like,
I have my moments, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, you are.
And I feel like for all my single people, men and women, like they're out there.
Yeah, and don't lower your standards. Keep going. Keep with your morals. Don't bend on the things that you said that you won't bend on. Like, don't bend. Don't do it. You are worth so much more than to bend for someone.
Yeah.
Don't do it unless it's something that you're like, okay, like this is like kind of irrational. Like this isn't really realistic, but you'll know what's realistic and what's unrealistic. You know what I mean? Like you'll know, like, no, this is something that if I did this, it would literally shatter my heart.
Right.
Don't bend.
Don't bend.
It's not worth it. I'm telling you right now, it is not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel purged.
Nah, I love that. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I feel like we covered like
pretty much everything.
Yeah, like we talked about like being true to yourself and
I think singleness, like while you're waiting and while you're like you're putting yourself out there and you're doing all that stuff, like continue to work on you. Like
take care of yourself.
You are priority, and that's what I'm learning, is that I am a priority, and it's not selfishness, it's actually selflessness, because if I'm not a priority, then I can't be there for you in the way that you need to be there. I can't be there like when I'm eventually in a relationship. Like I said this to my therapist today, where I said to her, like, eventually I'm going to be a mom and I'm going to be a wife.
Right.
And like, if I am not making myself a priority now, when I am a mom and I am a wife, where other people need to take precedence and I need to be selfless, I won't be able to do it.
Yeah. And I think since you brought that up, like think about working on yourself. Like don't expect like a guy to like fill a void that isn't meant for him to fill.
And guys, don't make sure that she's not filling a void in you, that because here's the thing, you guys have voids too.
Yeah.
So make sure that she's not doing the same thing.
Yeah, and like don't rely on that person to like be your superhero. Like that's really unrealistic, and that's not healthy at all. Like if it's there's nothing wrong with you being more happy when you're in a relationship, because I'm going to be honest, when I'm in a relationship, I feel more whole. I feel more completed just because of my personality. Like I do well with being led and like having somebody to like, you know, rely on. But like if you're going to be with someone just so you're not alone, that's unhealthy.
Right.
Yeah. Like
I'm actually opposite, where I'm like, but I think also I'm older. So like and also for 27 years, I've had to learn independence.
Right.
So I'm learning healthy dependence, which is great.
Right.
So we'll see how that works out in a relationship, but I'm learning to be more open and be like, let me depend on you, because the people that have led me or that I have given positions in my life to lead me have led me into craziness.
Completely agree with that. Yeah, I totally get that.
So your girl got some things that she's working through, but you know what? I know that if I'm in a relationship and I'm still working through these things, I'm going to be honest with him and we're going to work on it together. And I think that's a beautiful thing, is like when you guys can like look at it and be like, listen, this is what's happened to me and this is what I'm working on. I have grace and patience with me and let's work on it together. Yeah. Or like it's going to be hard for me to open up in these ways. Can you just be patient with me?
Yeah.
And if he's a good guy and he wants to be with you, he will do that.
Yeah. And again, like there's nothing wrong with wanting to like be with somebody.
Nothing wrong.
There's literally, if anything, like we were created to want to be with somebody, and like that's a really beautiful thing. So, and it's a really sacred thing. So don't rush it, and don't just be like, oh, I'll just choose this person. Like don't do that. Don't settle. That's another, like just don't settle. It's not worth it, because it'll bring so much more harm. In the beginning, it might be like, okay, this is nice, but in the long run, it's just gonna bring destruction, and you're not gonna feel peace, and it's not the way to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I agree with you 100%. Thank you guys so much for listening to this.
I missed this so much.
It's been good. Yeah, I've missed doing this. We're going to do more. We're going to talk about therapy, and like we're going to have Sam on that. Yeah. And if you listen to the one with Sam, it's just fun.
She's so much fun.
She's so much fun. So we're going to have Sam on a next podcast. So make sure that you keep your eye out for that. If you haven't subscribe.
Yes.
Share it. Like if you're single, let us know what you think, whether you agree or disagree, because I want to know your stories, and I want to know, do you agree with it or do you disagree with it? Like, let's talk about it. We're super open to that.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing. Like we're all on our own journey, and like it's okay to not do the same thing as everyone else.
Yeah. This is just our stories, and you may not have these horror stories, and you know what? Great. Like, that's perfect.
We don't see eye to eye on certain things when it comes to guys.
We don't.
Too. So like, and that's just normal. There's
and that's okay.
That.
Like we've talked about it, like this, like what we see and and even like with Sammy, like me and Sammy don't see eye to eye on certain things when it comes to guys and dating, but that's okay, because it's not,
it's your life.
It's my life.
Your walk, and what makes you feel comfortable.
My journey, my process, and what I'm looking for and what I need. It's not just looking for, it's like what I need. And
what you were designed to have.
What you were designed to have. And when you're single and you're knowing yourself and you're doing all these things, you learn what you are designed to have and what you need and what you don't need.
Right.
And like when you are confident, like, no, this is the type of guy I need, or this is the type of girl I need, it makes the process a little bit easier.
It does. So if you know yourself, it definitely helps.
It definitely helps. 10. So again, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Make sure that you share it.
Yes.
And let us know what you think. We love you guys. We've missed you guys. So and we will see you next week.
Stay healthy.
Gosh, not see you. Talk to you. All right.
Talk to you.
Love you.
Bye.